Hello there, welcome to Bite Size Bunny. My name's Tony, and today we are going to be doing a Call of Duty tier list. With the release of Black Ops 6, we officially have over 20 Call of Duty games to rank here, so let's get to it. Now, to get things started and to yank the band-aid off, I gotta be honest, I never played the first 3 Call of Duty games. I played a little bit of Finest Hour back in the day on the PlayStation 2, but outside of that, I really didn't start my Call of Duty journey until Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare on the Xbox 360, so all 3 of those games are going to be going straight to the did not play category. But outside of that, I've pretty much played everything else here on the list. Now we've got the behemoth that is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Almost 20 years later, and I still think that this is in the top 5 Call of Duty games of all time. Not only did it have an excellent campaign with still some of the most memorable moments in the entire series, but then you've got the multiplayer that really was a game changer at the time. I have easily poured hundreds of hours into that game between my time playing it in elementary school, as well as the remaster when it re-released as part of the collector's edition of Infinite Warfare. And it still holds up to this day. I find myself going back and revisiting this game probably once a month. I actually just revisited it this past weekend after playing a little bit of Black Ops 6 and wanted to go back and see how the two compared, and it's still just a fantastic, fun time. So yeah, I think that one's easily going to go up there to the S tier category, and it's very well deserved. Oh, Call of Duty World at War, I love you so much. You were such a solid successor to Modern Warfare. While I don't think you quite lived up to your predecessor, you still had an excellent campaign, and the surprise of Zombies mode was such a nice cherry on top. I will never forget completing that campaign for the very first time, and after those credits finished rolling, being greeted with that Zombies cutscene that honestly terrified me at the time. I had no clue what was going on and didn't even know Zombies was a part of this game. Then it quickly became the game mode I sunk so many hours into, whether it was split screen playing through it with my brother or online with friends. Speaking of the online, I do remember the multiplayer being really enjoyable with this one, but personally I felt like some of the maps were just way too large in this game, and it felt kind of like a chore to get through some of those lobbies. Because of that, I don't quite think I will be putting World at War at that S tier, but it's definitely a very high A tier. I'll put it right up there underneath Call of Duty 4. Next up, we've got Modern Warfare 2, and if I'm being real, I do think this is the best Call of Duty game in the entire series. I think this is where the franchise peaked. There have absolutely been other installments since then that have been really incredible and a lot of fun to play through, but none of them have managed to top this game. Between it having the best campaign in the franchise, as well as I think the best multiplayer, not to mention the Spec Ops mode, which was so much fun to play through with a co-op partner, I really do think Modern Warfare 2 took everything that made Call of Duty 4 special and just improved upon it in every single way. It still blows my mind that we haven't gotten a remaster for Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer. Yeah, we got the single player mode, but unlike the Call of Duty 4 remaster that came out last generation, we still haven't received the multiplayer, which is a real shame. But yeah, Modern Warfare 2 definitely going up there in the S tier, and I would put it right above Call of Duty 4. While I think Modern Warfare 2 is the best installment in the Modern Warfare series, the first Black Ops I still think is the best installment out of all of the Black Ops games. I love the way they approach the campaign. Mason and Woods are both extremely memorable protagonists, and I love the fact that there was this mystery element to the story mode. It had some really great multiplayer maps, and the introduction of the dolphin dive was mind-blowing for me at the time of this game's release. I couldn't believe that this was something you could actually do in an FPS game, especially in an online multiplayer lobby. And you can't talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 1 without mentioning the zombies, and for good reason, because the zombies mode has never been as good as it was in the first Black Ops. Every single one of the zombie maps is a banger. There is not a bad one in the bunch, and Call of the Dead is easily my favorite zombie map and probably my favorite piece of Call of Duty DLC ever made. With that all being said, I do think Call of Duty Black Ops will also be going to the S tier category between Modern Warfare 2 and the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I think this will also be the last Call of Duty game going up there into that S tier because it kind of goes downhill from here. Oh, Modern Warfare 3, this was the first time this franchise let me down. I know some people really love this game. For me personally, I thought it was an extremely disappointing follow-up to Modern Warfare 2 and just really kind of fell flat. The campaign felt like such a step down from everything that came before for it. As far as being the finale to the Modern Warfare trilogy, it just left me wanting more. There were some enjoyable multiplayer maps, but it kind of just felt like a $60 expansion pack to Modern Warfare 2, which was a real bummer. And I wasn't the biggest fan of what they did with the Spec Ops mode. I really enjoyed the set of challenge missions that Modern Warfare 2 Spec Ops mode gave you to complete with a co-op partner, but this time around, they traded that for a more survival-based mode, which kind of just felt like their rebuttal to Black Ops Zombies mode, and it just didn't work for me. It's not a bad game, but it's definitely a very middle-of-the-road installment in the Call of Duty franchise, and I'm going to be putting Modern Warfare 3 in C tier. Next up, we've got Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and I have a confession, I actually just played through the single-player story mode for this game a couple weeks ago to get geared up for Black Ops 6, and I was pleasantly surprised. I absolutely understand the hype behind that game's story mode. It felt like the last time Call of Duty was truly creative with their campaigns. It's very well written. I love the way they structured the story beats, so you're constantly going back and forth between the past and the present, and it just has a really great cast of characters attached to it as well, which makes it a more memorable experience. At the time of this game's release, I did start to feel the Call of Duty fatigue kick in, so most of my playtime with this one was from renting the game or playing it at a friend's house. But the multiplayer mode was really well done. There's some great maps there, and I did have a lot of fun with it when I did play it. The Zombies mode, on the other hand, there was a map or two that I really enjoyed, but for the most part, I didn't really care about it. But Black Ops 2, absolutely a worthy installment in the series, definitely one of the better ones. I'll be putting it up there at A tier as well. That campaign absolutely does a lot of the heavy lifting for me personally. All right, this one's probably going to be a bit more on the controversial side of things, but I'm going to say it. I think Call of Duty Ghost is an A tier Call of Duty game. So yeah, I'm just going to casually move that up there. And to make it even worse, I'm going to put Call of Duty Ghost above Black Ops 2. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. Is the story in this game absolutely absurd and even stupid at times? Yes. But when I think of Call of Duty games and their campaigns, Call of Duty Ghost is one of the first games I think of. I think that the level design and the maps in the single player mode are so well done that it is some of the best stuff in this series. And again, the story isn't perfect. There are some glaring issues, some obvious plot holes, but I really like the characters here. Both the protagonist and the antagonist in this game I think are really fun, and I think this just feels like a perfect popcorn flick of a video game. It is just dumb Michael Bay BS that you can turn your brain off and enjoy. And when I'm talking Michael Bay films, I'm talking something like The Rock. Just fun, campy goodness. Not talking about the Transformers films. Those they can go. Bye-bye. And the fact that this game ends on a cliffhanger pains me. I hold out hope that one of these days a Ghost 2 will get announced. Xbox, please, make it happen. You have the ability to do it now. It's free money. Let's go. The Extinction mode, we can just not talk about it. It's not bad. It's not good. It is totally there. It's just bleh. And yes, I easily put in over a couple hundred hours into the multiplayer mode, and I enjoyed every second of it. I really don't get the hate for this game. Another one I really don't get the hate for is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I think this is another A tier installment. I'll put it between Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty World at War. As far as the futuristic Call of Duty games go, I think this is easily the best one in the bunch. It felt like they had a vision and an idea of what they were wanting to do, and they just went for it. Unfortunately, though, we did get 3 more futuristic Call of Duty games that didn't feel like they had the same level of passion in them, and instead were just turned out to make, more annual releases. All right, another potentially hot take. I strongly, and I mean strongly, dislike Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Now, a part of that might be because I'm still jaded by how much I loved the campaign all the way up until its final 3 missions, where it just falls flat on its face and really craps the bed. At this point in the series, I really didn't care about the zombies. It did nothing for me in this game. And the multiplayer mode just felt like an inferior version of Advanced Warfare in every way. So yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, you're gonna go towards the bottom right there at D tier. Chill out there alone. Have fun. Honestly, let's be real though. It's not going to be by itself for too much longer. There's a couple other ones that are absolutely going to go there. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the game that infamously at one point in time had the most disliked trailer, maybe even the most disliked YouTube video of all time. I will never forget when they dropped the reveal trailer for this game and everyone just felt burned out on that futuristic warfare garbage. And the next thing you know, the Battlefield 1 trailer dropped and it was just mind-blowing. It was like, look, this is what we want, not more of this garbage. Please stop. I think the only good thing about this game is that if you bought the limited edition of it, you got Call of Duty 4 Remastered for free. And yes, I absolutely bought it only to play Call of Duty 4 Remastered. And I don't regret that purchase, but what I did play of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was just a steaming dumpster fire on wheels. I remember trying to get into some multiplayer lobbies and they just weren't working. The servers were so laggy and I couldn't even party up with friends at the time. If it wasn't for that remaster, I definitely would have felt ripped off. And to be honest with myself, even with that remaster, it was still a ripoff. That Call of Duty 4 should have been sold separately. But yeah, Infinite Warfare, you get to happily go to that F tier. Call of Duty World War II felt like the result of Activision aimlessly throwing darts at a board, trying to win back their audience, and yeah, it just didn't do anything for me whatsoever. I'm kind of struggling to think of any positive things to say about this game. Even though it wasn't a horrible game, it just felt like another generic entry. There was nothing really special about this one. The story mode, very whatever. The multiplayer, it was there. It was fine. I don't even remember if this game had a zombies mode, if I'm being real. I just don't ever find myself thinking about this one. It's so forgettable. It is so painfully average. It's not awful though, so it's gonna go low. It's gonna join Black Ops 3 in that D tier. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, on the other hand, kind of was refreshing after getting so many stinkers in a row. This was definitely the best of the bunch. It not having a single player campaign though absolutely knocked some points off for me personally, but it did give us the blackout mode, which was interesting. I don't know if I would say I loved it, but it did eventually give us the first Warzone, which I did really enjoy. It was an interesting concept that I felt was executed with some pretty mixed results. I did really enjoy the specialist in the multiplayer mode here. I think it mixed up the gameplay just enough to make it feel different from everything that came before it. But yeah, Black Ops 4, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. It's also going to join Modern Warfare 3 in that C tier. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 really brought me back into this series after it being at such a low point for such a long time. I remember when this game was announced, I had pretty low expectations. I was just kind of like, oh great, we're rebooting Modern Warfare in hopes of really putting some life back into the Call of Duty franchise, yay. But I was pleasantly surprised. The campaign's really solid. They went for a grounded approach and it absolutely worked for me. I actually had so much fun with the campaign that when I realized that Platinum wasn't going to be a headache and a half, I did Platinum this game. It's the only Call of Duty game I got the Platinum trophy for. And I absolutely got addicted to the multiplayer with this one. I had a blast going through and checking off all the challenges that you had, unlocking skins and whatnot. So yeah, Modern Warfare absolutely deserves to go up there into that A tier. I'm gonna put it below Black Ops 2, above Advanced Warfare, and yeah, that one definitely deceived me to think Call of Duty was back and it was going to be better than ever. Call of Duty Warzone has a special place in my heart. In 2020, I put so many hours into this game. This ate up a lot of time in my evenings. Partying up with friends and playing until 2 or 3 in the morning was so much fun. I have a lot of memorable experiences with this one. It absolutely was such a fun way to kill time. And as they continued to update it and introduce Rebirth, I had a great time with it. I do think when they started to introduce some other Call of Duty installments and tried to bring over weapons from Cold War and Vanguard, that it kind of lost some of what made it special with the balancing issues and everything going on there. But yeah, Call of Duty Warzone easily goes up there into that B tier. I don't think it's one of the greats, but I had so many fond memories with it. All right, we are down to the final 6, so let's crank these bad boys out. Call of Duty Cold War is kind of a tricky one for me, because this was one of the first games I got on my PlayStation 5. I got Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, and then Call of Duty Cold War, because I just wanted to try out the DualSense with an FPS and see what that felt like. And after how much I enjoyed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, I was totally more than happy to drop $70 $70 on it. While I did really enjoy the campaign and appreciated the fact that they tried to introduce some unique new missions into the Call of Duty series, I was able to complete it in one sitting in about 3-4 hours, which was really disappointing. It felt like the campaign ended right when it started to get going, which made it feel like an incomplete package. And I do think the multiplayer was pretty underwhelming at launch. It did get better over time, and I did find myself having fun with it, but that initial reaction was pretty mixed. So while I do think Call of Duty Cold War eventually became a good game, it had a bit of a bumpy start, so I'm going to be putting it up there in B tier. Yeah, I can go right underneath Warzone. Call of Duty Vanguard. Talk about a forgettable video game. So much so that I actually forgot to put it on this list and did a little Google search just to double check myself to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and was like, oh yeah, that's right, that game happened. It was a thing. I don't know about you all, but I would be more than happy if Call of Duty never went back to the World War II setting ever again. It's been done to death. It's time to let it go and move on. The story mode is some pretty weak sauce. There is not a single memorable story beat, mission, or even character. If I had to take a quiz on what happened in this game, I would absolutely fail it. I don't even know where to begin. And the multiplayer mode, it just felt like we were back to Call of Duty being out of ideas and creatively bankrupt. I don't think it's as bad as Infinite Warfare, but I think it goes right below Call of Duty World War II in that D tier. Was Warzone 2 a letdown for anyone else? Because I was so disappointed by this game. As much as I loved my time with the first Call of Duty Warzone, when Warzone 2 was announced, I was really looking forward to seeing what they were going to do, how they were going to revamp things, fix the balancing issues, and yada yada yada. It just felt like an inferior version of that first Warzone in every single way. I really didn't love anything about it. It just left me extremely disappointed. As a matter of fact, I remember playing it for a few hours and then dipping out on Warzone 2 and going right back to the first Warzone. I haven't played Warzone 2 since its initial release. I have no interest in ever going back to playing Warzone 2. It's gonna fall in that C or D tier for me, and I don't really know where. You know what? Let's throw it in D tier. It'll go right below Black Ops 3 and above Call of Duty World War II. The Modern Warfare 2 remake wasn't a perfect game. It had its issues, but after Cold War and Vanguard, I thought, holy crap, we are back. Okay, I'm going to just now stick to the Infinity Ward Modern Warfare remake series with Call of Duty moving forward. I love some of the changes they made with the story, kind of keeping it feeling unique and not like we were just retreading Modern Warfare 2 from the Xbox 360 era, and I think it's a worthy successor to Modern Warfare 2019. The only thing I will say is the multiplayer definitely felt like a step backwards. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't as good as its predecessor. With that all being said, I think Modern Warfare 2 doesn't quite make it up there to A tier, but I will put it in B tier right between Warzone and Call of Duty Cold War. Yeah, I was just happy that we got another Call of Duty game that was great. It felt like a complete package at launch. We didn't have to wait for it to become a good game. And yeah, Modern Warfare 2 right there at B tier. Remember when I said that, yeah, the Infinity Ward Modern Warfare series, this was what I was going to stick with moving forward. I was done with everything else. Well, Modern Warfare 3 quickly knocked that right out of me and put some sense back into my mind. I hated this game. I think it is easily the worst Call of Duty installment in the entire franchise, and it's borderline offensive. It just feels like a cheap, slap-together cash grab to make sure they meet their yearly quota of having a Call of Duty game out in October or November. The campaign mode is made up entirely of recycled assets from Warzone. They didn't even bother making new content for the single-player story mode, not like it was a long one either. It took me about 3 to 5 hours to beat it. The way they handle the characters and end the story in this game is so insulting. It just feels like a slapped together piece of hot trash. And at that point, I was so angry with this game that playing the multiplayer and all the other components just felt like an added insult to injury. There is no redeeming qualities in this game. It looks pretty. I'll give it that. That's about all it's gonna get from me though. Yeah, Modern Warfare 3, the remake version of it, is easily going to F tier, and it's going to go to the lowest spot possible. Seriously, what were they thinking with that one? And finally, we have come to the end of this tier list. We have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the most recent installment in the franchise. And you know what? It's a fine one. It's not bad. It's not great. It's kind of just there. It's definitely leaps and bounds better than Modern Warfare 3 2023, but I wouldn't say it quite reaches the heights of any of the games in A and S tier. I don't even know if I would put it in B tier. The campaign has an interesting premise, but I don't think it ever meets its full potential. They really like to push the zombies mode in all the marketing I've seen for this game, and I don't know why. I think it is the weakest component of this game. At this point, I think Activision forgot what made zombies so special in the first place. It's really disappointing to see what it's kind of turned into over the years. But I am having a blast with the multiplayer mode so far. I could see myself putting in hours between new game releases as time goes on. It has some great maps in its lineup, and I really enjoy the new movement system. I think it really enhances everything with the gameplay. It's just unfortunate that the other two components of this game are so lacking. Like, they're not awful, they're just not good either. It definitely goes above Modern Warfare 3. I think I'm putting it right below Cold War though. It's just kind of between whether it's going to be in B tier or C tier. This is surprisingly harder than I was expecting. But as of right now, I think I'm going to put it, you know what? Yeah, I'm feeling low B tier. It's at the lowest end of B tier, but we'll put it in B tier. And I do think it'll get better over time as well, so, you know, for whatever that's worth. So there we have it, my Call of Duty tier list, all of the mainline entries ranked as of 2024. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And how would you personally rank the Call of Duty franchise? I'd love to know.